Okay, welcome to this talk about extension fields. Extension fields built with the key user tools and developer tools, especially about the do's and don'ts. So what you should take care of, what you should consider when you create, edit, work with extension fields, especially if you're working with S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition or on-premise. My name is Daniel Wachs. I work as architect in the key user and developer extensibility area. And this is my colleague Karsten. Schaser.
Yeah. Hello, also from my side. I'm working in the same team as Daniel, and I'm a development expert in this team.
Yeah, we're in the team which built the key user custom fields tool, the app. Maybe some of you know that app or worked with it already. And yeah, in the past years, we've learned a lot about what customers can do wrong when they use this app, when they use key user custom fields and also developer extensibility, especially when they work with on-premise or private cloud edition. In our talk, we first want to start to give an overview about extensibility in S/4HANA at all. If you've seen the talk before from Thomas Schneider and Kai Demann, maybe see something that you've heard already or seen already. Then we will look a bit deeper into key user versus developer extensibility for extension fields. And then we look into the first main issue that customers often have is actually how do I find the right extension point? So how do I find out what I need to extend? Then the main part comes, which is taken over by Karsten then, is the do's and don'ts, really what you should need to consider. And at the end, we give you some further information, some links, blog posts, and so on. Okay, with that, we start with the slide. Yeah, I can see it. If we talk about extensibility in cloud applications, and we often talk about cloud, there it's different than in the past, or even more stricter that the software provider on the one hand side and the software consumer are strictly separated. So the one who is delivering the software, in our case that's SAP, and the one who is consuming the software are strictly separated. And consuming software is not only seen from the end user side, so someone who's using the software at the end, but also from extensibility point of view. So someone who's extending the applications. And the reason is pretty simple, because the software provider wants to deliver new features, and with that needs to make sure that this is possible at any point in time. And this only works if the extensions which are done on customer side, that they are upgrade stable, that they are lifecycle stable. And that means on the other side that they must not have any modifications, that they should only use released APIs or extension points. And of course, the extensions itself should be upgrade stable. And now we talk about developer and key user extensibility. And there you should need to know that key user extensibility objects, they are always fully managed by the key user tool. So you create those objects with a Fiori UI, with a key user app. And this app and the framework behind it manages all the objects which are generated in the backend system. And managing means it's responsible for creating, editing, deleting, but also for the software lifecycle, transport lifecycle of those objects. And if you try to edit, for example, these objects in the backend or with ADT, you will see that this is not possible. These objects can be displayed and debugged, but editing is not allowed. And key user objects have a separate namespace or name range than developer objects, and they reside in a different software component typically. From a view, you can think of it in that way that key user objects are always on top. They can access objects from developer extensibility if they are released accordingly, but not the other way around. And there's one big exception, that's extension fields. That's what we talk about. There we actually want to achieve full interoperability, so that if you have an extension field created with key user extensibility and you want to use this extension field in developer extensions, like using the field to read data, or maybe even to define additional field properties for it, then you can do that. There's a blog post from Thomas Schneider. We have linked it here in the PowerPoint. I guess this will be shared with you after the conference, where you can have a look at it. Okay, now we come to the extension field part, and we start with a short demo of key user extensibility.
Okay, so then let's see. This works. Yeah. Okay, great. So I hope you can see my screen. So let's imagine for this demo of our our custom fields tool, we want to add now a field here in our managed sales order version 2 app. And as we've seen it in the session before, and maybe you already know it, the easiest way to do this is directly from the Fiori UI using this Adapt UI feature. So I click this here. What I want to do is I want to add in the order area, in the order data section here, a new field. So I enter the UI adaptation mode. I press here this add field. And if this section is extensible, I see here a little information about so-called business context. And I have also here a button where I can directly jump to our custom fields app. This has the advantage that you now get already some context when starting this custom fields app, and especially our UI already knows which business context to pre-select, and also the service which is behind this app you've started. So I want to add here now a field which carries an employee reference. I want to associate a value help with it, so I can get help which employees to choose. And as you might know, I think it was also mentioned in the session before, employees are treated as workforce in SAP. So I would select this workforce person value help, and that's all I would need to do. Because this takes time to publish, I already prepared something here. So I have here a field which has exactly this field type, this value help. And you can also see here, as I started via this Adapt UI integration, I can also see that the system knows which is the correct OData service to extend. Now, what might be also interesting for you, especially when thinking about on-premise and private cloud cases, you might wonder what is being generated in wrong system. Sorry for that. Yes. In the system behind the scenes. So we have a tool which you can use. It's this transaction. It's the scfd_field viewer, which gives you also a list, which you normally, similar to what you see in our app. You can double click there. You can see the field definition, and especially you can also see a tab of enhancements where you can see which objects have been enhanced and how the enhancements look like. So that's basically everything I wanted to show
for the customer. Yeah. Maybe what's also worth to mention is that you do not only see the names, you can forward navigate to the objects, but you also see this change mode, for example. If something is wrong with the extension field, you could see, for example, that this change mode is like activate or update, that it needs to be updated. So if there's something wrong with the field. Okay, then let me take over again. And okay, I will go on with the demo of the developer extensibility. Therefore, I go to ADT. And if we want to extend, like Karsten did, a Fiori application with a field, I need to start at the CDS entity, which is used in the OData service of the Fiori application. I just take this example. This is some test example from our team. And there, what I can do in developer extensibility, if this object is released for extend in cloud development, that's a release state. You see it for every object here in the properties tab for the as API state for the so-called extend contract, C0. If this is set for use in cloud development, that means that this object can be extended in ADT. And if I want to do that, I can right-click this object in the tree and click Generate ABAP repository objects. There, basically, we get a list of generators or wizards which can be used for this object. So I could, for example, create an OData service based on this object if it is released for this. Now this object is released for extensibility, so I can create new extension fields. And I choose this wizard, and then I just need to specify a package, which I've already prepared. And then basically the actual wizard starts. It's very simple. What you can do here is just simply define the fields. You already get a proposal because the names of the fields in ABAP Cloud is very important. It needs to fit, first of all, the namespace needs to fit. So it needs to be a set namespace if you're a customer, or if you have a / namespace, for example, you could also use that one. But you see also the suffix here, which is important, which is defined in the CDS view. You can take that from the CDS view, but the wizards already propose it to you. And there you can now define the field. Is this ABAPConf? Also give a label. And as this should be a Boolean field, I can search for Boolean data elements. So currently we only support typing by data elements in this wizard. And you can use all released data elements, which are released by SAP. So released means released for C1, for the use in cloud development. I see here I can use this ABAP Boolean data element and generate UI annotations. Different to the key user tool, I'm also able to add multiple fields at once in the developer extensibility. So I could add another one. Should be a note or text field. And I can not only choose delivered SAP data element, but I can define my own data elements and use them as well. This field should be a text field, and I want to generate UI annotations here as well. That means actually that annotations are generated which ensure that the field is automatically displayed on Fiori applications at the end, if this is a CDS view which is used in Fiori applications. Okay, and then we have two sections here below. These are basically or showing the objects which are extended in the end. So here we have a wrap application which is being extended, and we see all the objects. These are basically CDS views, but also a data structure which is used in the database table, and we see the names of the objects which are generated, so the extensions, and we would be able to edit them. And here in this lower layer for the service layer extensions, this is the projection layer. Here we can choose if the object should be extended or not. For example, if we have not only one projection view, so one service which should be extended, but for example, we have a Fiori application based on this REPBO, and then we have some API based on this REPBO, we could extend all of them if we want to. So here we have the option to change the setting. And now I'm done. I can click next and get the final list of the objects which are being created. And here you see also a preview of the source code. And then I could click next and generate the object. This will take, I guess, some 2 to 3 minutes. That's why I'm not doing that. I prepared already an extension on this object. And now let's have a look at these objects which are generated. You see these are data definitions, so CDS extends, and one dictionary extent, which is the extension of the database extension include structure. And if I, for example, open the extension of this projection view, which I've started from, this looks like this. So basically exactly as we have seen in the preview. What I can do here is now, in difference to the key user tool, I can go and change this decoding, because these objects are now my objects. I, as developer, own these objects, and I'm responsible for editing them, transporting them, and so on and so on. And I can, for example, add new annotations here, which may be required. I have this text field. And for example, I want to make it a multi-line text field. That's not possible in key user tools. That's something I can only do here in developer extensibility. Now I can activate that and make it, or it is already then visible on the UI if this is a UI use case, and then I can work with that field. Okay, that's for the demos. Let me switch over to the PowerPoint again. Now, maybe you ask yourself how you decide whether you should use developer extensibility or key user extensibility. And there is a clear guideline from SAP that you should start with the key user custom fields app if you're not clear. Because at the moment, the key user custom fields app is still offering more scope. There are more objects which are enabled for that, but there are also legacy technologies like the sub-GUI, for example, or SEGW implemented OData service, which are currently only covered by key user extensibility, not by developer extensibility. If you have use cases like what I've shown, you want to add more annotations, and you will stick to REP applications and Fiori applications built on REP. You can also use ABAP development tools to create those extension fields. And with that, you also then have this flexibility to do what you want with the extensions. If all of them is not possible, and you have maybe some classic applications which do not support either developer extensibility or key user extensibility, but some of their own extension technique, then you could go this way and start extending with classic extensibility means. Yeah, here also there's a blog post which we provided for you as decision help. Okay, next, you've seen that Karsten has created an extension field from the sales order application directly in the Adapt UI. I have added this extension field to the projection view. I knew this view, but of course you ask yourself, how do I find the right extension point? And there we also provided kind of a how-to guide here. I will not go into all the details. It's a lot of text. You can have a look at that later on if you want. But if you want to extend the Fiori applications, always start from the Fiori apps library. There you can navigate through to the OData service and find out which CDS views are related to that. And either you want to look into the ADT to check whether the CDS view is extensible, just as I've shown you in the API state, or you go to the transaction SCFD registry, which is basically the basis for the key user extension fields framework. And there you can find all the information of extensible CDS views or other extensible objects. Same is true for GUI, sub-GUI UIs. There at the end, these are displayed in the Fiori apps library as well. And there you in the end can look at that in SCFD registry as well. If you have an API, like an OData API or a SOAP service, for example, you can use the business accelerator hub, and there you can also search for those objects for remote APIs. There is a section for SOAP and OData services, but also for local APIs. There's a section on extensibility, on-stack extensibility, and there you can find REPBO interfaces, you can find released CDS views, and so on. So this maybe could help you on that. We know that this is sometimes a bit cumbersome, and we are working on a better solution based on AI to offer an extensibility AI assistant, which helps you to identify and to find out where you can add extension fields, what exactly you need to do. This is still work in progress, but a preview has already been shown in the DevToberfest session, which I've linked here as well. This is mainly focused on S/4HANA Cloud, maybe public cloud, and maybe it will come in future also in private cloud, but I think that's not yet finally decided. Okay, and now with that, I would hand over to Karsten again to talk about the do's and don'ts.
So maybe you just go one slide further for a small introduction. So when we talk about do's and don'ts, especially in on-premise and private cloud, we also we offer another transaction. It's called SCFD_EUI. Which maybe is somewhere in the middle. So we have there a mixture of key user extensibility and developer extensibility, or even classic extensibility, because we built this to enable, to allow customers to enable manually created fields on the database to be used in our Fiori app custom fields, because doing this has the advantage that you can then use it in the Fiori application stack. So it will become a normal custom field, so to say. Sometimes we also call this therefore also ABAP managed fields, because the origin is ABAP development, so to say. Okay, now I need to switch into the system.
To share?
Yes. So, as said, we have this transaction, SCFD_EUI, where I can enter things like the database table, where I created my fields, and also a name pattern. So I normally know which fields I have created. In my example here, I will use a database table which is which represents a test sales order, so to say. And I've already prepared 2 fields here, just for demonstrating. There are 2 fields here shown in the list. Our transaction makes sure that all prerequisites are met that are really required to enable a field. If this is not the case, You will also get here a status showing this. In this case, it says there is preparation required. And we also have here a detailed step-by-step description what is required in order to meet the prerequisites. In this case, I have created this this field just as an append of the database table itself, which is not supported by our tool because we make use of a so-called extension include structure for this purpose. So the system here tells me what I would need to do in order to meet this. I've already prepared another field. So it's a text, it's a field of type character. And you can see the system is smart enough to derive that the semantic type could be Boolean because I've chosen an appropriate data element. Here, as we are in the developer world, I can also select a package where I want to have this in. For now, I'm choosing this temporary package, but later on, I can just move this field. So now in the background, there are certain things generated. Maybe I can now here switch over and search for my demo field. Okay, it's not there yet. Normally this works quite fast. Yes, there we go. I need to first.
The same filter bug as in Fury.
No, this time it's not a filter bug. This time I just forgot to refresh the screen. So sorry for that. But as we can see here now, I've created more or less a custom field out of my manually created append field, which is just shown here in our field viewer tool, which I showed already before. You can see it here. The only difference is we have another origin, so to say, so you can really distinguish also in the app if it has been created by the app or has this ABAP development origin. And you also have here these enhancements and everything which we saw before. So not sure, do you want to share the slides? Or?
Yeah, I can share again. Next slide.
Yes. So what I just told you, you can see here also in our app, it will be distinguished that this field here was created by, from the backend. Okay, now you might ask, when should I use this really? So this feature. In general, our proposal is you should not use it. Only in certain cases. The reason behind is this freedom which you get here. You pay a price. So the software logistics behind is more fragile than for normal key user fields, because not every object which is involved here is really owned by SAP, but it's a mixture. So you bring objects in as a developer, and we generate objects, and the generated objects, they have a dependency to these customer objects, so these development objects. And this has, of course, implications in transport handling. You should not release the key user transport before your development transport and things like this. So when should you use this? Actually, we have two use cases, more or less. One I already showed more or less. So if you have an existing field, let's say from a previous suite, and you want to migrate this or bring this to your S/4HANA system, you can just, yeah, as I showed, enable this for usage. So you won't lose your data. This is one big advantage which you have done here. And you can just reuse also the name. Normally for key user fields, we have a very strict naming convention, which ensures that there are no name clashes and things like this. In this case, we make an exception to prevent adoption effort on customer side. There is also the new field scenario where it might make sense to use this transaction. There, especially if you have special requirements regarding the data element, for example, you need a specific check table to be used, or have to use a conversion exit.
Okay. Yeah, but in general, I think we try to enhance the scope of the key user app itself to allow, for example, associations to custom CDS use and stuff like that, so that you can start with the key user tool instead of using ABAP managed fields. So just this should be the standard case, and if that's not sufficient, then we can use ABAP managed fields.
Okay, now coming to the do's and don'ts. As said, I do only use this feature of ABAP managed fields if it's really required. So it's the last line of defense, so to say. But still, you should try to add, for example, a suffix for your append fields if you create it newly. Just to have also the safety for of this naming name clashes. We have there already a note which describes best practices and things you need to consider. And also for the objects which you bring in, you should try to follow the clean core principle. We will also publish a blog regarding do's and don'ts in this area, and it will be linked soon in this overview blog which you see here. Now coming to the don'ts, we had already a lot of so to say, customer issues with this, because it's quite complex topic. So you should not, of course, delete the fields which you created manually, because our custom fields, the generated objects, they rely on this. So you will just end up in syntax errors, inconsistencies in your system. The same is true for other objects which you might bring in, be it a value help or the data element which you use. You should not modify or delete them in an incompatible way. And a more general hint here. So you should not publish or delete further custom fields if a previous publishing or deletion already failed, because this just makes the situation worse for us as support. We don't really know what's going on, and also for you as a customer or developer, because you might get weird error messages which just do not relate to your object, which you are just editing, but maybe from one object which failed in the past. Okay, so this slide, let's keep it short. We have some further documentation and notes built in the transaction or in the help portal. The general note for handling and tips and tricks are already mentioned. We also have for specific use cases prominent notes which are listed here. Yeah, but I think this is nothing we have to talk now about. There is one aspect in this private cloud or on-premise use case for key user tools, which is a bit special. So it's the software logistics aspect. There we offer also Fiori apps, which helps you managing this whole aspect of transport handling. We have there a note which describes also best practices and frequently asked questions. The most prominent apps are here this register extension for transport app, where you can assign key user items to a package which you already created in the backend, or also to a transport, which you can, of course, create manually, or you can use this configure software packages app to let this transport task handling to be done automatically. You can configure this on a package level that this should be done for you by the system. Okay, we have another thing which you should keep in mind. The key user tools, they generate objects, which we saw, generating objects. So be it classes, CDS views, whatever. Normally you need development authorization. You should not give this authorization to normal Fiori users, which are using our app. Therefore, we offer to maintain a job user in this maintenance view here. And this job user, of course, it should have sufficient authorization. It should be still valid. And which is unfortunately quite prominent error. You should keep an eye on the client you try to perform these operations, because only in the client where this ATO, the adaptation transport organizer, is set up, the key user tools will really work. Okay, now coming to the don'ts. What you should not do is key user tools are built for simplicity. That's the main reason behind. And we only build this having in mind you only have a simple, more or less, you have only a one development system landscape. Trying to do this when you have more than one and transporting key user items in between of development systems is not a good idea. You should not do this, because we implemented a lot of checks which should really ensure that the system consistency, but it's only valid inside of one system. So we cannot check other systems and ensure that it's still guaranteed. Another famous error which has been done in the past is editing custom fields in several systems. So we had a customer some years back who directly edited custom fields in his quality system and also in his development system. And he also released transports from the development system. Also, he already modified it. A custom field is also a repository object in the ABAP repository, just like a class or anything else. So it has a distinct source system. You should not do this because it's in principle some kind of a modification. This customer ended in a real, so the system, the test system, it was, it ended in inconsistencies, in syntax errors, and it took us from support, I think 1 or 2 weeks to clean the whole mess up, and the customer, he was not really able to clean it up themselves. Okay, so then another aspect, what normally is being done under the hood by SAP, we also adapt technology-wise our development. And for custom fields, this means we also need to adapt to these technology changes. In cloud, this is done automatically, handled by SAP. In private cloud and on-premise, this is done in a different way. So there is in an upgrade phase some extra running which reports if this is required or not. If custom fields need to be adapted, we have this report here also for manual execution if you implemented or installed a new service pack. The purpose of this is you can check all your custom fields if there is something to do, and you can perform this regeneration if required. We added also in the meantime via nodes additional checks which make it easier to use this app. And yeah, we have also a special scenario here. If you want to perform your upgrade in a cloned development system, there is something to consider. We have added the node describing it here. Okay, I think this we can skip. Yeah.
So, yeah, we would have now some further information, but Karl already showed us that the time is almost over. Actually, this is just a couple of links, blog posts, which you can have a look at if you're interested into that topic, which you consider if you want to use clean core and also ABAP managed fields and custom fields. So with that, we would say thank you for your attention, for being here. And we hope that with this information, we can make your lives easier when working with extension fields, and at the end, also our lives when doing support for custom issues.